Most people live to be liked. They say yes when they mean no. They smile when they want to scream. They bend and twist, hoping that if they please everyone, they will finally be safe. But Niccolò Machiavelli would call this not kindness, but weakness. And weakness is an open invitation for others to control you. Machiavelli, the Florentine diplomat and author of The Prince, lived in one of the most treacherous political environments in history. A world of daggers and whispers. A world where survival didn't depend on how much people liked you, but on how much they respected you. And if respect could not be achieved, fear would do. This is where people-pleasing crumbles. Because in trying to be loved by all, you end up respected by none. Picture Florence in the early 1500s. The city was beautiful on the surface, cathedrals, markets, art. But behind the marble and frescoes was a storm of betrayal. Alliances formed in the morning, collapsed by night. Smiles hid daggers. Friends turned into enemies overnight. Machiavelli observed rulers who tried to win the love of everyone. To the people, they lowered taxes. To the nobles, they offered privileges. To their allies, they promised loyalty. And what happened? The people became restless anyway. The nobles demanded more. The allies grew suspicious and turned on them. When the time came to test their strength, they had none. They had traded respect for approval and in doing so, lost everything. Machiavelli saw this again and again, and he concluded a brutal truth. He who seeks to be loved by all will be destroyed by all. Now compare that with today. Think of the workplace. The employee who says yes to every request, the one who covers shifts, stays late, never complains. They think this will earn them recognition. But in reality, they are overlooked, used, and forgotten. Or think of relationships. The partner who avoids conflict at all costs, who always agrees, who never asserts their needs. They believe this will keep the relationship peaceful. But over time, their silence erodes trust. Their kindness turns into resentment. The same psychology is at play. When you live to please, you lose your authority. When you bend to everyone's will, no one respects yours. Why do so many of us fall into this trap? Why is people-pleasing so seductive? Machiavelli would break it down into 4 forces. First, fear of rejection. Most pleasers are terrified of being abandoned, but rejection is not the end. It is revelation. It shows you who is loyal and who was only there to exploit your compliance. Second, loss of boundaries. He who cannot say no cannot be trusted with yes. When you lack boundaries, your agreements mean nothing. Your promises are cheap because you hand them out like candy. Third, dependence on validation. The pleaser lives not by their own conviction, but by the applause of others. Like a puppet, strings pulled by the opinions of the crowd. Machiavelli would call this slavery. A person ruled by the approval of others is never free. Fourth, the illusion of control. Pleasers believe harmony equals safety. If everyone is happy, then I am safe. But harmony without strength is just silence before betrayal. Peace before collapse. So what would Machiavelli teach us about breaking free? First, learn to say no with purpose. Each refusal is a reminder that you own your time, your life, your priorities. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors, and only you hold the key. Second, choose respect over affection. Love fades, respect lasts. Better to be respected by a few than adored by none. Third, detach from universal approval. If everyone loves you, you have no power. True influence comes when some respect you and others fear you. Polarity is not weakness, it is proof that you stand for something. Fourth, redefine kindness. True kindness is not obedience. It is strength expressed through generosity. Only a strong person can choose to be kind. The weak are not kind. They are merely compliant. Think of this in your own life. Have you ever said yes to something, but deep inside you wanted to say no? What would have happened if you had stood firm instead? Maybe some people would have disliked it, but would they have respected you more? Would you have respected yourself more? This is the paradox. People respect boundaries even when they dislike them, and they disrespect endless yeses even when they benefit from them. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, and if he were alive today, he would tell us the same. Stop chasing universal love. It does not exist. Build respect instead. People-pleasing is not compassion. It is not kindness. It is not virtue. It is self-betrayal disguised as love. Machiavelli would say, stop begging for acceptance. Stand firm. Demand respect. Command attention, and above all, be willing to stand alone. Now let me show you how this plays out in modern psychology. The pleaser has a distorted relationship with conflict. They believe that conflict is destruction, but in truth, conflict is creation. Every honest disagreement builds the foundation of real respect. Without conflict, relationships rot in silence. Machiavelli observed the same in politics. States that avoided conflict at all costs eventually collapsed under pressure because they had no strength. Leaders who faced conflict strategically, however, forged stronger nations. The pleaser also misunderstands loyalty. They believe loyalty comes from constant giving, but Machiavelli would say loyalty comes from strength. People are loyal to those who can protect them, not those who endlessly sacrifice for them. This is why the pleaser is betrayed most often, because their loyalty costs them everything while giving others no reason to stay loyal in return. Consider how this applies to your daily life. Imagine you always cover extra work for your team, thinking it will earn appreciation. What you actually earn is dependence without respect. Colleagues will lean on you, but they will not admire you. Or imagine in your personal life, always agreeing to keep the peace. What you earn is short-term calm, but long-term erosion of trust. People start to realize your words do not reflect your true thoughts, and trust, once gone, is nearly impossible to rebuild. Machiavelli knew this. He warned that a leader who makes promises to everyone cannot keep them. And when you break promises, you lose both love and respect. The pleaser is trapped in the same paradox. In trying to keep everyone's trust, they lose it entirely. So how do you change this? Machiavelli would tell you to embrace selective displeasure. Accept that disappointing some people is the price of real authority. Authority comes not from pleasing all, but from standing firm for something greater than approval. If you want proof, look at history. Leaders who sought universal love disappeared into irrelevance. Leaders who embraced selective displeasure left legacies. The same applies to you. In your workplace, in your relationships, in your personal mission, if you try to be universally liked, you will vanish. But if you stand for your boundaries, your values, your vision, some will dislike you, some will resist you. But the ones who remain will respect you. And respect is the foundation of lasting influence. Machiavelli would tell you this final truth. Stop measuring your worth by how many people smile at you. Measure it by how many people cannot ignore you. People-pleasing makes you invisible. Authority makes you unforgettable. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who bends, who agrees, who hides their true thoughts just to be liked? Or do you want to be the person who stands tall, who commands attention, who is respected even when not everyone approves? Machiavelli's world was ruthless, but it taught him lessons that still apply today. The choice is never between being loved and being hated. The real choice is between being respected and being ignored. To seek universal love is to erase yourself. To choose respect is to define yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you chip away at your own strength. Every time you avoid conflict, you trade authenticity for comfort. And every time you bend to please others, you weaken your authority. The truth is this: people-pleasing is not about kindness. It is about fear. fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being alone, but fear cannot guide a strong life. Machiavelli would tell you, courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. When you say no, when you set a boundary, when you risk displeasing others, you are not losing love, you are gaining respect. And respect is the currency of influence. Respect makes your words matter. Respect makes your presence undeniable. Respect makes people listen when you speak, and unlike shallow approval, respect endures. Think of the leaders who shaped history. They were not people pleasers. They were not universally loved. They were decisive, polarizing, firm. Some admired them, some feared them, but all respected them. And that respect gave them power. In your own life, you may not rule a city like Florence. You may not sit on a throne or command an army. But you do rule something far more important: yourself. And the same law applies. If you live for approval, you surrender your throne. If you demand respect, you secure your authority. So here is the final lesson. Stop living to be liked. Stop trying to please everyone. Start choosing boundaries over compliance, respect over affection, truth over harmony, strength over fear. Because in the end, it is not those who are loved by all who leave a legacy. It is those who stand firm, who dare to displease, who earn the respect that cannot be ignored. Machiavelli's voice echoes across the centuries. Do not betray yourself in the pursuit of acceptance. Rule yourself, command respect, and you will never be powerless again.